Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video, I want to talk about the impossibility of our existence. So, we as human beings are really excellent and skilled at taking things for granted, from the lives that we live to this amazing technology around us to nature and animals and people that we live together with. We take everything for granted and we get so used to things. So, this video is about one of the things that I have made a video about a while ago, and it's called the fine-tuning argument. And it's essentially saying that it is incredibly unlikely that we live in this universe that is so perfectly balanced and fine-tuned almost for us to be able to survive. If any laws of nature, if any constants of nature, if any values of the physical laws were any different, life as we know it would be impossible. And I've talked about this briefly before, but then I was wondering about, like, yeah, if anything was any different, then life wouldn't be possible. But what does that exactly mean? I wanted to get into it in detail, like if what was different. And so I started thinking about it, what things would be different and life would be impossible. And the more I thought about it, the more I found things that if they were any different, then life as we know it would be impossible. And indeed, galaxies, stars, the universe we are familiar with would be impossible if these things would be different. Just a little side note, talking about this fine-tuning argument, I was wondering about it, and I was thinking that I'm not surprised at all that people hundreds and thousands of years ago and the first humans, I'm not surprised at all that they looked at all the nature and beauty and wonder and complexity of the world and thought that there must have been a creator. I'm not surprised at all that they thought that, because it's incredibly strange place we find ourselves in with this natural world that's been going on, and still till this day some people believe it. So the fine-tuning argument, I will only mention some few that I came up with, but there are many things that if there were any different, life wouldn't be possible. So we can start with the beginning of the universe. We don't know exactly what the beginning of the universe itself was, what caused the Big Bang. Was there a cause for the Big Bang? I myself think kind of in an intuitive weird way, although nature makes no sense, the universe is not obligated to make any sense to us, but I have this kind of notion or this kind of thing that makes sense to me, that there must have been some cause, something to make the universe begin. And then we can talk about, what's the likelihood of a universe beginning. Maybe in some infinite meta space, whatever it is, maybe you need to wait almost infinite amounts of time for some weird thing to happen and a big bang to happen there, and then a universe to be born. Maybe that's also incredibly unlikely right from the start. Incredibly unlikely that even the universe will be born. Another thing to think about: when the universe was born, there was matter and antimatter created. We know that there is something that is opposite to normal matter. So we have our universe, you and me and planets and stars and everything around us is made of protons and neutrons. And we know for a fact that there are antiprotons, antineutrons, antimatter we call it. Now, the normal physics and cosmology common sense would have said that at the Big Bang there would be equal amounts of matter and antimatter created. When matter and antimatter meet, they annihilate each other, creating pure energy. This is pure matter to energy conversion. So at the Big Bang, everything would have just continued to explode, and there would be no matter, because there would have been equal amounts of matter and antimatter to exactly cancel each other out. But we know from experience that now we have more matter than antimatter, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. Otherwise everything would have annihilated each other. So there is this weird kind of imbalance that we have more matter, more regular normal matter than antimatter. Okay, fair enough, weird coincidence. And a fun fact, if you go far enough in the universe, maybe some corners, some pocket of our universe, if you go far enough, maybe there is tons of antimatter, and you can absolutely make planets, people, stars, galaxies out of antimatter. So it's absolutely identical but opposite. And indeed, if we would have been made of antimatter, we would call regular matter antimatter, and antimatter would be regular matter, and it makes no difference. It's just a name that we put to it. There's really no difference. Okay, so there is this weird thing. Okay, fair enough. Like, the universe is weird. Like, there must have something happened. Unequal amounts more matter than antimatter. Fair enough. Okay, so we have this other thing called gravity, and gravity is responsible for having our galaxies stay together. Gravity is responsible for stars and planets and all of this being able to exist. If gravity was any weaker, then galaxies would fall apart, and most likely solar systems couldn't be formed, stars couldn't be formed, thus life would be impossible. If gravity was any stronger, who knows what would happen. Maybe the whole universe would collapse back into itself and create a new Big Bang, and nothing could really happen. It would just be continuous explosion, outward, inward, and nothing could happen. Gravity is exactly in the right value, exactly at the right balance to be able to have this stable universe around us. And if you know anything about the universe and cosmology, then of course gravity is not all of the story. There is something called dark matter, and dark matter is again exactly at the right value. If there was only gravity, normal gravity in galaxies indeed would fall apart. But because we have something called dark matter, galaxies and our universe have just the right amount of dark matter that everything keeps working perfectly. So the gravity plus dark matter holds galaxies together. And most likely this is responsible for life being able to arise as it did on our planet Earth. So dark matter really important. If there were any less of it, universe couldn't exist like this. If there were any more of it, universe couldn't exist like this. Again, perfect balance of dark matter and perfect balance of gravity. Okay, weird coincidence again. Okay, we know there's a thing called dark energy. If dark energy was any weaker, maybe the expansion of the universe would be weirder. Maybe galaxies again couldn't form. Maybe stars again couldn't form. If dark energy would be any stronger, maybe it would go so strong that it would rip galaxies literally apart. It could rip planets apart. It could rip matter itself apart. But dark energy again is at the right value that our universe is just expanding normally. So dark energy is this part of the universe that keeps our universe expanding normally. Quite many weird coincidences so far, but that's not so bizarre that it's like unbelievable. Okay, a few things that like perfectly fit for life to be possible, but let's carry on. Another interesting thing to think about is that there we have this nuclear strong force, and nuclear strong force is responsible for what goes on inside the heart of stars, the cores of stars that fuse elements together. So if the nuclear force was too weak, then stars wouldn't be able to form and burn like they do. If the nuclear strong force was too strong, then all of the stars would just explode. So the nuclear strong force again has exactly this perfect value that stars are able to burn in a stable state just like they do in our universe. Another interesting thing to think about, in the beginning of our universe, the universe was really simple. In our entire universe, only elements that existed was hydrogen and helium. Now, we can't make complex life forms out of just hydrogen and helium, unless maybe you're really, really smart and clever and a lot of interesting coincidences happen. But unless that happens, life is impossible with just two simple elements. We need this complex periodic table of elements for us to exist, because we are made of many different interesting elements. So, we take it for granted that we have this periodic table of elements, but what is needed for us to have these elements is that we need stars. All of this perfect balance of values that we spoke about before, all of that is needed, that we would have stars that would be able to fuse lighter elements, helium and hydrogen, together into heavier elements. So in this incredible pressure and heat inside of stars, they fuse lighter elements into heavier elements, carbon and other heavier elements up the way to iron. When they reach iron, however, iron is the most stable element in the universe. So once stars try to fuse iron elements together, they actually start losing energy. So then we wonder, this is strange, because even we need elements that are higher up from iron, and stars themselves alone can't produce this. So we come to another interesting coincidence, that at the end of lifetime of biggest stars, huge supermassive stars, when they're at the end of their lives and they explode in supernovas, they create all of these heavier elements from iron onwards. So uranium, titanium, all the aniums, all the heavier elements that are essential for life and our civilization, our technology, all of this that is absolutely vital is created at the destruction, at the end, at the death of these massive stars. Really long, interesting journey of coincidences that the universe and the laws of physics are configured in just a way that it's even possible for lighter elements to come together to create heavier elements, to create this complexity, this colorful variation of elements around us, to create this interesting universe with so many different Lego pieces to put together, which eventually can assemble into technological civilizations and organisms just like us eventually. So, okay, so interesting coincidence that everything is just in a way that, gravitation too weak and nuclear strong force and nuclear weak force and the dark matter, dark energy, stars are able to happen, stars burn, that's not enough, stars blow up, create all the elements that we are made of. Okay, so another thing to think about is that in the supernova explosions, we are all made of star stuff. We are all made because stars had to die because of us. We are more connected to the universe than we give credit for. We take it for granted, but we are made of the universe exactly the same amount as some nebula far away or some galaxy or some stars that we look at. We are all the same thing. We just happened to gather together in some stable sort of formation to give billions and billions of years, and it develops life. So another thing to think about is stability. How unlikely it is that our planet Earth has been here for a bit more than 4 billion years, and for this entire time, well, life has been here a little bit less than 4 billion years, 3 something billion years, and for its entire time, life has been able to live and evolve in a stable surrounding. If there was any supernova close to us, just a few hundred light years away or even further, depending how big supernova, if a supernova would go off close to us, it would annihilate our entire solar system. Our oceans would be evaporated, our atmosphere blown off, ozone layer, nothing left if a supernova would go off. And in this entire 4 billion years, no supernova around us. We are exactly in the spot. The universe is configured in just this density that we don't have any massive stars close to us that blow up. Another thing, there are so many things that could kill us. There are neutron stars that can grow into pulsars, and pulsars can rotate hundreds of times per second, and at their poles they radiate enormous amounts of energy. When one of them would be close to us, pointed at us, again, our entire planet and solar system would be annihilated. Again, centers of galaxies, if one blazar would be directed at us, cosmic rays, incredible radiation, gamma rays, would absolutely annihilate us. Why some random black hole hasn't come and sucked in our entire galaxy, our entire solar system. It's incredible that we have been able to be here for billions of years in a stable environment, and just for life being able to evolve. And talking about Earth, that we have this magnetic field that protects us from the sun, that actually emits solar flares and incredible radiation. We are protected because of our molten core, because of this magnetic sphere that the Earth creates. Also that we have our atmosphere that protects us, ozone layer that protects us. Actually, if we look at the planet Earth, if the planet Earth was the size of an apple, our entire atmosphere would be about the thickness of the apple peel, the peel of the apple. So we think of this as some kind of vast ocean of atmosphere, but actually it's a tiny, tiny sliver of the entire thickness of the planet that we live in. We're in this small cocoon, safe on Earth, but actually it's incredible how many things must be exactly the way they are for us to be able to continue. And again, that no comets, no meteoroids, no asteroids big enough at least to destroy all Earth. Few million years ago, yes, there were some asteroids, but it's still been possible for there's still so few of them, these collisions, that life is able to continue and to go on. That today, yesterday, tomorrow, there won't be an asteroid impact. Again, incredible coincidence that this is even possible. And billions of years for us to be able to live a stable life is absolutely mind-blowing what the odds must have been. So I hope I made at least some kind of point to the direction that it's incredibly unlikely that we exist. So many things have to be just right for life to be possible. That again, that even on our planet, that we're not too close to the sun, that our oceans would evaporate and boil away, that we're not too far away, that all the water would be ice. So many things must be exactly right for life to be possible. And we're here, we think this is normal, we take it for granted. This is not normal at all. So either we live in a simulation, which I wouldn't be surprised at. It's not an idea that I take seriously, but I wouldn't be surprised, because so many things, not just a few things, not just 10 things, but hundreds of things, fundamental values of our universe, our laws of nature. If they were any different, life would be impossible. So it is incredibly odd and strange. And this, however that makes you feel, but for me, it makes me think that it makes me think it's very likely that we do live actually in a multiverse, that our universe is one of infinitely many universes, and we live in one where we can live, that there are infinitely many universes. For every universe like ours that has incredible stability and even possibility for atoms to form, that atoms don't fall apart, that chemistry can happen, that stars can happen, that nuclear fusion can happen, that supernovas can happen, that it's not too much, not too little, that everything is just exactly right. For every world that we have, every universe like our universe, there must be billions that are just soups of particles where nothing happens. That is just crazy stuff, like 100-dimensional crazy stuff happening, universes we could not even imagine or comprehend. So I think that leads us in the direction that it's most likely that there is nothing special about the laws of physics. It is just arbitrary. We just live in a really unlikely universe, but we couldn't live anywhere else. So we're here and we witness it because we can. But we might be one of infinitely many universes. And then this leads us in a whole another interesting topic of what do the universes exist in? Is there some kind of space outside of space where universes float around? Was there a mother of all big bangs that gave birth to everything? And what caused that? What happened before that? All of these questions that are just so strange to think about, that it's just so odd. So I hope I convinced you at least a little bit that it is an incredible coincidence that we are even able to be here, right now, and to appreciate the world around us, no matter if we're depressed sometimes, or we think life is hard and difficult, or even that life is pointless. It is incredible coincidence that we're able to be here and witness this, and that's what I wanted to get across. So hope you got some interesting thoughts from this. If you have any ideas, please share them in the comments, and of course, thank you so much for watching, and take care.